All right. So, welcome, everybody who is joining us both here on the live as well as on the replays from YouTube, all the places I will end up putting this. It's so big and it's so amazing, and I just had to find all of the ways to share it. So, if you joined us yesterday live, we talked about parenthood, we talked about motherhood, we talked about how much we um have to learn through that process. And so that was our kickoff, that we just jumped right in with some of the hard shit. But we're going to continue with the hard shit because we're talking about wounds, traumas, and past lives and how they show up in your soul contract. And once again, we'll talk about, each of these ladies' perspectives on what their soul contract is, where they think that they're healing, where they think that they're already kind of like completed their journey. And we've got so many different versions of witchy, intuitive, shamanic women up in here for our panel today. I'm just going to give them a very short intro, and then I'm going to ask each one of them to kind of give you just a little bit more in depth. So first up, we've got Silvia, who is an educator in the public school system. Just one of the best human beings. I could squeeze your face. She's been working with me for a real long time now. I'm collecting her family. Well,
Exactly.
in my courses. Just love her to death. Miss Yvette is one of the most badass firekeeper, shaman, medicine women I have ever experienced in my life. She has been there for me with some very deep healing, not only for me, but for some of the people that I know, and just one of the wisest women I've ever met. We have Gabrielle Celeste, the premier astrologer that I have ever met. And she will tell you that I'm full of shit, but I'm not. So definitely, if you got any questions about the stars and your chart and all that, go to her. She is absolutely insane. I've gotten readings from her myself. It's very, very, very good. And then last but certainly not least, we have Miss Kara. Miss Kara is a intuitive. She does past life healings and readings. She is the founder of Sealth Well Being, which is like a community intuitive work space. Is very juicy, very alive. She also is a breathwork facilitator as well. So let me just let these ladies give you their version of who they are, because I can only do them so much justice. But I want you guys to hear from them. So going in that same order, Miss Silvia, can you give us just a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. I think I'm one of the older ladies in this panel. Uh, Not the wisest, but I mean,
Rise.
I've been an educator for a long time, but I don't feel that's only one aspect of my life. I'm a daughter, a woman, a mother of three, and I feel so blessed. I've been blessed in my life because along my path, I've been able to find these very important people, these very special people like Abby, Abigail, people that have been gifted with a special talent. And that has really enriched my life and given me such a wide variety of different experiences. So I think I'm a witness. I witness all these fantastic uh, miracle spiritual things that happen in life. I'm a witness. That's what I am. That's why I'm here.
I love that. I love that. Miss Yvette.
Hi, everyone. Hello, hello to all my beautiful girls back there. So happy to see your beautiful faces. Hi, Silvia. You're not the oldest. Estamos iguales. Remember? um, but you are very wise. I want to honor that. Okay. I am a curandera. I am the founder of Tapajtiani, and I help people process emotional trauma, and I help them process it through their body, either with homeopathics, body work, or ceremony. One of my specialties and my strengths are spiritual limpias. So I help people not only process emotional traumas that they have either from their past or their present to help them move on, but I also help people, which I kind of got it beat it out to me that you can do this, and next to these wonderful women, you know, spiritual limpias, helping them with curses that they pick up either from family members inherited or from just people that, you know, or circumstances that we find ourselves in. That is what I do. So thank you, Abby, so much for having me here. It's an honor. It's a pleasure. And, you know, being with you ladies, it's just an amazing time to have. So thank you.
Absolutely. Miss Gabrielle.
Well, hi, friends. Thank you, Abby, for having me. My name is Gabrielle Celeste. I am the owner of Agua Astrology, and I host a podcast with my sister, who is also intuitive, Nicole Christine. It's called the Spiritual Sisters Podcast. And in my work, I focus on really guiding and supporting people depending on what they are looking for support with in the areas of soul purpose, career, money, health, love, and all the things using their astrology charts. And I'm also moving into supporting other healers and intuitives and business owners with their businesses and implementing structures and finding just offerings that are in alignment for them and what their businesses want to do. So I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah. And Kara, Miss Kara, welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me. And yeah, as Abby mentioned, I'm Kara, founder of Sealth Well Being. And yeah, I do past live sessions as well as healings, but also breathwork, meditation, and Reiki. So kind of the full suite of energetic work. And I really love also working with plants and herbs. Been diving into that a lot as well. So yeah, I'm super excited. Thanks for having me.
All right, guys. So thank you so much, everybody, for being here. I had that like hit that I needed to do this series, and so let's just dive right in. So, number one, wounds, traumas, past lives, all incredibly large things, right? And I really like to know your guys' thoughts about where you feel like you are when it comes to the wounds of your life, of your contract, what you feel like that means. So just might be pretty big too. You might have an answer for it. You might not. It's fine. I'm interested. Kara, can we start with you? Where do you feel like you are when it comes to your soul contract and being a human who goes through things? Let's say it like that.
Yeah. So I think for me, well, I guess I'll start with the soul contract portion. I will just be like very frank and say that as I think almost all of you, I can't see the whole panel, but as a good portion of you on this know, I can't see my own shit. So like I can see other people's shit, but like I can't get my own, stop laughing, Gabby. I can't see everyone else's. I can't see my own. So I'm pretty sure I have asked Gabby, Abby, and Yvette my soul contract. They have all given me different answers. So have other intuitives. And I think for me, I'm at a point where I'm just like, I don't really care what my soul contract is. Sorry, that's probably not the answer we want on this panel.
No, truth and vulnerability, this is what we're here for.
Yeah,
There is probably 1,000 people who are right there with you.
Yeah, I don't really care. Gabby, I'm still gonna make you look up my business soul contract though. So don't think that that's not counting. But yeah, I think that for me, I'm not like I don't care anymore about my soul contract. I kind of care more about just like, am I growing and evolving as a person? And so where I am on that front, I think I've definitely like learned and grown a lot. And I think like like the process I guess I'd say I'm in now is that I like recognize these like where I get stuck or like my triggers very easily. And then I can automatically like, I don't know if like calm myself down is the right word per se, but like recognize that it's a trigger, especially in romantic like connections or familial relationships. And even platonic, like even friendships. So for me, like the fact that I can like recognize the trigger and like not react and it not kind of stress me out the way it would have like a few years ago is like growth and progress. And also, I don't think you're someone, I mean, maybe there are people out there like this, but I don't think like you get to a point and you're like, oh, I've absolved all my wounds, all my trauma. I'm done healing. Like, I don't think you ever get to a place of that. It's just like, how much healing do you do? Because then you're always going to get more shit, like until you die to get you to the next level. So for me, I don't think, I mean, as much as I want to just like sit on a beach and be done, which I try to do very hard, it's like never ending. So it's just kind of, stop laughing at me, Gabby. It's just like, just never ending. Like it's always going to keep coming. So it's just like now being able to be like, oh, that really hot dude that's emotionally unavailable is a test. So it's just like, that's just an example. I'm not saying all hot men are emotionally unavailable, but just the ones I'm into. So knowing that, right, I can like, not, I can kind of stop it in its track, like that kind of thing. So then it's like, okay, what's like the next thing for me to figure out or realize? That's kind of the path I'm on. So like knowing that it's not necessarily going to end, just like the triggers, the challenges, the wounds are just going to get like, I don't know if I'd necessarily say harder or more challenging, just like different. Like it'll just show up like in different forms.
Okay.
Is that what you asked?
I think it's a good answer. It's an answer. I don't think that there is anybody on here who is going to give a bad answer. I think one of the reasons why these panels are so profound and so good for people is because a lot of the times in this work, in this realm, as you continue to have people who are in the spiritual community coming to you, coming around you as you continue to expand your awareness of your tribe, you're going to get a lot of different answers. You're going to get a lot of different perspectives. And it's important because without that, you never really can land on where you're at. You can never fully unearth and discover. So I am not mad by anything that we got to say here today. And we're going to get into it. We are into it, right? I'm interested, Yvette, in what your thoughts are for yourself. I know that as the self-proclaimed oldest of the group, you have definitely been through some life. So when you look at it and you look at where you're at now, where do you think your biggest wound or trauma was? And you don't have to, you can be as open as you'd like to be. And where do you feel like you are on that healing journey?
Trauma-wise,
Well, yeah, wounds, traumas, past lives,
she's
within the concept.
I think a few of you have seen me through my journey, and one of my soul contracts that I was bestowed upon was healing my lineage. And it was no joke. You guys saw me for a year. I couldn't even get off the ground. I was tears, pain, illness, processing it. And to honor what Kara says, you get tired of it. You're like, how much longer, how much more of this can I do? And then you stop and think, but my kids, I have to do this because I'm going to pass this on to my kids, right? And my nieces and my nephews. So for me, one of the biggest wounds, as you well know, I've been a bruja in hiding in the closet for a long time. So I've done healings, I've done ceremonies, but I only do it to people who come to me. And now being out of in the open and honoring that part of me has been a huge transition. And even though I've been in this journey, I've actually just recently, I'm open about it, even though the people that are close to me know, and the people that, people come and find me from different places that I don't even know where, from Mexico, to work with me. And I'm like, okay, I mean, you're asking, so I'm gonna provide. So one of the biggest wounds is honoring who I am without being scared and ashamed of it, you know? And another one, that a trauma that I had to work through was that I was a teen mom and raised in a Catholic environment. I failed as a woman in any way that I was taught to believe, you know, that a woman should be. I got, you know, pregnant out of wedlock. I was a single mom. I had to work. So that was one big trauma that I really had to heal. And during my journey, surprisingly, what I thought my trauma was, which was being a teen mom, it wasn't that. You know, it wasn't that part of it. It wasn't the shame that I had put because society put that on me. It wasn't, and by all means, I'm not ashamed of it. I mean, I tell everybody, the moment my son was born, the moment I found out I was pregnant, he became my motivation, my strength, and my power. And those of you that know me, that's what my kids are. Literally, my motivation, my strength, and my power. You know, and it's interesting because right now in my life, I'm kind of in the stage of the crone where they're flying the nest, and I'm like, wait a minute, you know, if I'm not a mom, what the heck am I? And so that's the stage now, you know, to honor again what Kara says, is there you're always healing because you're always transitioning into another stage, and you're like, I'm not ready for that yet. Hold on. But if you look, for me, it's becoming a very beautiful part of honoring myself and having time to myself and finding out who I am now, you know, who I am, and putting myself first, because I've been a person who has always been open to whoever comes. I go ahead and put them and attend to them. That is one of my purposes. But I'm learning how to take care of myself. And sometimes that means that it's okay for you to say no, which is a very hard word in my vocabulary. So for me, that's what the journey and the trauma is right now, is for me, finding out who I am if I'm not a mother. And my actual trauma was not that for me, I failed society by becoming a single mother. It was completely something different that I had no idea it was there till I was going through the healing process. And let me tell you, when I saw that trauma, you know, I was like, oh my God, it wasn't even a memory of mine. It wasn't even a memory of mine, you know, until I went into that memory cyst and it was pulled out. And I would have never thought, you know, that it wasn't what it was supposed, what I always believed it was. So I was holding pain and shame and always trying to push myself more to prove that I wasn't what society had labeled, what I believe society had labeled me to be. Because I can honestly say the people around me in society don't think like that about me. You know, they've never said anything that I believed it was, but it's what I grew up believing and what I grew up hearing. So all those, for me, that has been my journey. And, you know, I just want to say, so many people that come to us and they say, I want to heal. I'm like, all right. But it's like they want us to just wiggle our nose and wave a wand. It's like, no, I'm going to hold your hand through the healing process, right? It's a process, and healing means feeling. And a lot of times, well, I can't do this. You know, why am I feeling this way? Because you have to feel it to heal it. Because you have to acknowledge what's there to get rid of it. And, you know, even us, sometimes we're like, no more, you know, make it go away. I mean, just make me go away. I can't take this pain no more, you know. And it's hard because telling people, no, I'm here to walk the journey with you and help you heal through it. I'm not here to make it go away. And that's how you heal the trauma, because then you can go ahead and shift the perspective and let go of those attachments that you have to that belief that really isn't true. It's just something that was bestowed upon you, made you believe, or, you know, you yourself gave it to you. So
Yes.
I hope that that answers the question. So,
Yes.
yeah,
I
I'm a
love the
walking
I love the way
trauma.
you yeah, I love the way you said it of you have to feel it to heal it, and that truly is this like that process of recognizing the wound, recognizing the trauma, and being able to get yourself through it and past it. And I think we end up hearing from a lot of people, oh, here is the thing that's in your contract to heal. Here's the wound in your contract. Here's the trauma that you put in there for yourself on purpose to experience. And so you have somebody come up and say, yeah, this is what is on there. But then we forget that part. As the person who has actually got the wound, got the trauma, we forget, like, oh, well, now that I know about it, it should just go away.
Exactly.
But and there are a lot of practitioners out there. I will be the first one to put like spiritual community a little bit on blast, that there are a lot of practitioners out there that will say, oh, here's what it is, and then not give you steps to help you through. And of course, at the end of the day, like you have to want to stop ingesting the poison that's making you sick. You know, and we'll get into that a little bit about what that can mean. But first, Sylvia, you have definitely, if I know anyone, you have definitely been the person to like have your like crap brought in front of you and you have committed to feeling it. So can you talk a little bit about that and what that was like for you?
Sure. And as a teacher, I was taking notes because of everything you say, guys, because I'm committed to just like doing the work. That's what Abby is talking about.
Like,
I'm
I came
committed
here
to
as a
doing
panelist, I'll leave a student. I can't leave a student.
and as a witness, I feel like I'm just kind of like the bridge between all these wonderful ladies that are doing all this work and just the ordinary people, you know, like the teacher, ordinary woman that does just like the simple things, the everyday things. Because I mean, like if people are listening to this and sometimes they see all these people that are so gifted and they go like, oh my Lord, but I'm so far away from this. How do they do it? Well, let me tell you that, I mean, like, I'm that person. I'm that person that is on the other side, just like sometimes just, I mean, amazed by all these wisdom and all these just like magic and all these wonderful people around us. And but I can tell you as an ordinary person too, that I mean, like, I think the most important part and what I really liked about Kara is that she said she expressed her vulnerability. Is that what how you say it? She said, I'm vulnerable. And that's important for us because when we are on the other side, when we are the ordinary people and we see you guys as this panel, we feel so sometimes so far away from you guys. We feel that you guys have all the answers and we are in somewhere in this dark zone. And then a lot of shame comes. A lot of shame is, I mean, just arises, and we feel so guilty that we're not capable of dealing with all these things that you guys have sorted out. But that's not true. Kara just expressed it, and I know for a fact that that's not how it goes. The story, that's not how it goes. I mean, we are all in the struggle, but I think the most important thing is the awareness that we have. And I think Kara said it, and Yvette too. When you are aware of these patterns that sometimes you have in your life, or because of trauma, because of everything else that goes on in your life, and then you can be aware of those patterns and just find ways, strategies, and just like touch base with like people like you guys and find ways to just like get over them, or just don't feel so bad about them, so not to feel shame or guilt, or just like minimize that shame or guilt, then that's when you start doing the work. So I feel awareness is just like crucial. And I mean, everything will just come by itself. And Yvette said it, it's a process. It's a process. No, just to cut story short, because I'm not an expert here, I'm just sharing my experiences. I can tell you that my awareness came after I had an experience with past lives, regression. I had out of nowhere and out of the blue, I didn't even know what a regression was. And it sounds very scary. I was just at my yoga class on my mat, and suddenly someone came and said, "Hey, there's a cancellation for a regression therapy. Do you want to take it?" And I was like, "Okay." And when I got there, I was just like, "This is scary. I have no idea what I'm doing here." And I didn't know if this person was going to just show up with a crystal ball or what was going to go on. But I mean, it was like, that was my time to have this um awakeness, or it was at my awakening. It was my awakening, my spiritual awakening, to have that past regression, in like that regression to past lives. And for me, this has been a way to heal trauma that has been passed over many lives, and that I keep facing and I keep coming across in this life. It's incredible, but these are patterns. But I mean, the most amazing thing was that uh, the healing is just like, I can tell you that there are a few people that I have had healings with that are just like this. I know it sounds like very kind of like maybe uh, unreal or surreal, but it has happened. That's why I'm here, and I'm not being paid by anyone. I can tell you that here, Abby is one. This is the marketing part of the session, but Abby, it was just incredible, my experience with her and with this other lady. Her name is Norma Cabrera. She's a person from Mexico. She lives in Mexico. She travels all over the world, and she does these regression therapies, and just like the healing was incredible. The realization that all those nightmares, because I had grown as a very scared little girl, having nightmares every other night, being very, very like in a zone of fear all the time. When I had that experience, suddenly something clicked here, and I went like, there was no need to be afraid anymore, and my nightmares disappeared. And that is healing trauma. And I guess that it was also my own desire, and my soul was ready, and it was so eager to just get over all this pain, as Yvette says, all these that I was just eager to for it to happen. You must have this openness and say, I'm ready, I need a change, I need it happening. And well, this is the ordinary person, so I mean, ordinary experiences.
Not ordinary. Uh, Gabby, what wound are you or were you most afraid to touch on for yourself?
Oh gosh. So I was just thinking about Sylvia's explanation right now, and just like, trauma, and also like what Yvette touched on, and of course Kara. But it's just kind of hard because I'm kind of looking at like the charts really often, and I see what's in the charts for every specific person. And for me, one of the things that's related to the trauma that I have in this lifetime, even coming out as a spiritual person and speaking their spiritual truth, was very much connected to my past life, because in a past life I was murdered for being a witch. I've had multiple lifetimes doing this, and so to be here on planet Earth at a very interesting time where you can really feel the vibrational shift, and I feel like everyone on this call can attest to this, because we're on this call and we're talking about all the things woo. I think that for me, it was just really challenging to come out, because in a lot of ways, I think I'm repeating a past life and fulfilling soul contracts that I didn't address in a previous one. So I see that in a lot of ways. Sometimes it's like a block in my throat, even though like I have a podcast and I'm doing this panel with everyone
Mhm.
here, but it's kind of hard because sometimes I'm like, am I holding myself back? Am I completely speaking my truth? And that inherently is related to like the past life trauma, but because I don't want to offend, because I'm a Cancer and I just like to play neutral. I am Switzerland and all the things. But sometimes just because I feel like being rational, in some instances, you're going to attract more, what do they say? What's the phrase? It's like you'll attract more bees with honey or something like that. So
Mhm.
it's kind of like that, and not just leaning into the hostility that our world right now has enough of. However, I do think that all people's perspectives and different perspectives should be brought to the conversation because it allows you to think outside of the box, to think bigger. So yeah, for me, it's definitely like past life stuff, and it does show up in birth charts.
Mhm.
And it's called the North and the South Node. So South Node is
Mhm.
where your past life was at, the gifts that you're bringing into this lifetime, what you've already pretty much mastered. Whereas for the North Node, it's like what you're bringing into this lifetime, but also you're like running towards that North Node, and you're taking all those lessons and the skill sets that you're learning through these lessons, and you're applying it to achieve what your North Node is asking you to do as part of your soul contract in this lifetime. And for me, coming back to the trauma, it's very much like, all right, this was something you didn't complete in the previous lifetime, which we talked about this on the podcast. My last lifetime with my sister was actually World War II. So it's now like addressing what I didn't do then as we go into this next new earth, 5D dimensional consciousness, as many people speak to. So yeah, that would
Yes.
be mine.
Where, so you already mentioned where we can kind of see this idea of like a past life showing up on the chart. How deep can you like feel into that? Like, is from when somebody comes to me and is like, okay, past lives, want to know about them. I'm like, well, how far back do you want to go? Like, I either go to the ancestral chakras or I go into the Akasha records, whichever
Yes.
is like
Yes. Mhm.
more easy. Oh my, that is not English. Easier.
Me.
Whatever is easier for my client, and I can access quite a few, right? And you hear a lot of practitioners saying like 7 forward, 7 back. Where's your opinion as an astrologer around that? Is it just one? Is it the most recent? How do you end up seeing that?
Yeah, so I definitely look at where the North and the South Node placements are at, and then I'll look and see what houses they fall into, and then I'll consider what the houses represent. And then from there, I'm usually able to identify it's like this specific lifetime, or maybe it's like two. They're, here to evolve their soul, they're here to heal ancestrally. So it really just depends on what they're looking for support with, because I'm pretty sure I'm in the hundreds clubs for readings at this point. And for me, when I'm looking at like what they're looking for support with and what their blocks are related to, oftentimes it's directly related to either a past life or what they're working through in their chakra system now. So it really varies, but I would say oftentimes 1 to 2, tops 3 is really all I need to support someone. What about you? How do you do
Okay.
it?
How do I do it?
Yeah.
Or Sylvia?
Oh, sure.
So I am focused on whatever the question is.
Yeah.
And so somebody coming up and saying, okay, I've got relationship issues. Okay, for example. At which point I'm then usually for me, I bypass the Akasha at this point in my career. And I go straight up to the ancestral chakras. Once there, I can just ask, I just need to see, I need to see trends in this person, in this soul's relationship journey. And then looking for within those trends, where were things unhealed? Where were things unaccessed? Where then looking at like their soul contract and saying, okay, where is there a link? Did they say in their contract, this is what I want to actually deal with in this lifetime? Because one of the things that happens, there is a lot of stuff in one soul contract. It can be, and this series it is very much a reflection of that. The fact that I can have multiple editions around a soul contract just tells you how much you as a soul have decided to write in it or not decided to write in it. You might say this lifetime, like, and Yvette, I want you to speak to this here in just a second. You may have said, you know what, the biggest thing that I need to handle to allow for my soul's evolution is to deal with my family traumas, my, you know, whatever family karmic cycles I got to heal and dig out and unearth. That's literally my, not only my life's purpose, but it's truly my work. It's truly what my soul needs in order to evolve. And some people are like, nah, I'm just gonna like throw everything in there. I want to deal with a relationship. I want to deal with family. I want to deal with career. I want to, you know, like there's a whole mess, right? And then those people, because I'm in the same club as Gabby with how many readings, those people are the ones that I feel like are very ungrounded. They don't know what it is that they're supposed to be doing. They feel like they've kind of got stuff everywhere. They, you know, maybe feel like they've kind of locked down one thing, but they're not really sure about how it links and stuff like that. So yeah, that's usually how I look at it, to try to weed down and help people sort out where that all goes. But yeah, Sylvia, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, I mean, like, for just like ordinary people, I go back to those people that are just sitting there,
You really gotta stop. You're
talking
not
to you,
alone in that.
whatever. Uh, I'm, because I remember that I have mentioned this to some people and they get really scared and they go like, that is something that I don't want to deal with. I mean, that's something that sounds really, you know, like, I don't know. And they, but I can tell you that they're like, I've seen that there are like so many ways to do it. I've been with Abby doing it. I have had Norma that is just like you lie on the carpet and that's it. She has nothing. She has just like a glass of water and that's it. And you just go and you don't even go to sleep. She's just like, just close your eyes and tell me what you are feeling, seeing, smelling, every single detail. That's it. But I've heard about people that do like hypnosis and there are all sorts of things. But the funny thing is that once you're open to it, you can even have those experiences yourself because that can happen during when you're having a dream, you're sleeping, and suddenly it happens. So I can tell you that it's not scary, um, but it's incredibly healing. I'm just going to tell you a very short experience of mine. I'm very, as a mom, and this is to continue yesterday's session that we were talking about trauma and mothers and motherhood. And I was just reflecting yesterday about how I have this relationship with one of my children. I'm very attached to this one, very, very attached, but in kind of like, this is my trauma maybe right now, in kind of in a fearful way. It was even worse some years ago. And suddenly, for whatever reason, I went into just like, I went to see Norma and I had my regression therapy. By the way, as Abby said, it doesn't always happen like you want it to happen. It's not like you say to the universe, you know what, I want to heal this, this, and that. That's not the way it goes. Suddenly they throw you something, here you go, deal with it. This is what you have to just figure out right now. It's funny. I mean, I have my agenda every time that I used to go into a regression therapy. This is my agenda for today. Well, you know what? Sorry, but that's not what we're going to work with. Or, I mean, forget it. We're doing something else. So I remember this time I was just like, I didn't even know what was going to happen. So I remember just being in a very like kind of a village. It was like a fisherman village. It was a very little town. And I remember I saw my son and he was my brother. He was my older brother. And I was like a 6-year-old little kid. And he was taking care of me. He was in charge of my well-being and everything else. And I remember that we were standing by the seashore and he decided he was going on a fishing trip. So he went on a boat and I saw myself very little compared to him, and I was waving goodbye. And suddenly I knew that he never came back. He never came back. I don't know. I didn't see the rest of the story because it's not like a movie. I just like, but deep inside, I could feel the pain and the grief of not seeing him ever again. And then I, I, I mean, kind of, I then opened my eyes and I went like, I started crying and I went like, of course, that makes sense. No wonder I have that attachment and fear of this kid, because I feel that every time that I let go of him, he's not going to come back. But you know what? I think the most important lesson of this is that happened in the past. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen in this life, but we drag that energy, we drag those past experiences with us. And that's where we have to be aware that, I mean, like, no, you, as Yvette says, we can heal those past lives and those past, I mean, everything that has been like in the past, we can heal it. And it doesn't have to repeat itself today.
For you, what was the thing that obviously knowing about it, being aware of it was very helpful. How did you then get over? I'll use that because I don't really even like that term, but we'll use it.
Yeah.
Or heal. That's a better one. Let's go with
Yeah.
that. How did
I
you
think
heal that attachment so that you're living a life where it's not fearful for you to let him be and live
I
his
can
own
tell
life?
you as Kara that I don't have the things sorted out yet, but I do know that when I see myself falling into that pattern again and really stressed out and panicking, I go like, okay, snap out of it. Okay, remember that there's a pattern. Remember that, okay, so just get over it. Just let him go, whatever it is. I mean, you've been together for a long time. I'm sure that I've been together in more than one life with him. So just relax. I mean, and just get over it and go and do something else. Right?
Like distraction being
Yeah.
a good one for you. I and I'm sure that through the rest of this conversation we'll get to other people's like kind of ways of coping, but I do want people to be able to take away things from this conversation when it comes to when it comes to how to heal these things, because that is one of the things that I called out, right? This idea of like, we're going to present this to you. Now, it's there, but we need things, we need ways, right? Ways to heal. And so on a scale of 0 to 10, how effective is telling yourself to get over it? Just let it go. How's that working for you? How effective is that?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe maybe a 5, but then I have Abby and I have all other people, my therapist, and it's okay. It's okay to have all these people in your life, because sometimes there's a lot of taboo about like, oh my Lord, I mean, she's in therapy and she goes to all these people and she goes, I mean, she does like um I don't know, like your chart and it's okay. I mean, it's okay to do all that. um and I do have resources like you guys. I just find people, I find resources, I read, I pray, I meditate, I do yoga, I'll journal, I'll do almost everything that I find. I mean, like that comes my way.
No, that's good. And the reason why I ask that is because we all have to be aware, right, of the practices that we have. Because a lot of people will do practices because somebody told them to do it or because it's trendy in the moment, right? We all know about when yoga decided to hit the world stage, having been done for probably millennia or thousands of years before, but being done in a very specific and very
Yes.
spiritual in some people's practices way, and then it got trendy, and now all of a sudden it's just an exercise. And so then when people are using that, saying, well, I do yoga, but it doesn't really work for me. Well, my question then is, well, you being aware of that, why do you keep doing it? Like in this idea that it's going to be helpful for you, when, you know, we have to understand where our gaps are, and in the practices that we use to help us to heal, right? If it's not working for you, there's a reason why. And that's not to say that it can't be helpful, right? It's not to say that yoga can't be helpful for you, but the way in which you're doing it, the intention of which you're putting behind it, something's not clicking, right? And once you can fix that, it may work for you. It may also be something that just doesn't work for you, and you got to find something else, right?
Yes. Yes.
So, Yvette, going back to, or continuing this, I guess, because this is also in relation, everything Sylvia was just saying is a part of family trauma, drama, history, wounds, right? You came into this life with a very like real want in your life, for your soul, to heal generational traumas for you. Why do you think that is, one? And two, what is the biggest thing for you that has helped you to heal?
Well, first I want to say I didn't choose this. You know, I didn't even know that I was given the responsibility to heal my family lineage until I started, you know, going through the process of becoming a soul teacher. And the moment the first class started, for those of you that, Gabby, you were there, I before I introduced myself, I was just crying and crying. It was like Mary Magdalene had nothing on me. I was just like, I couldn't even talk. And, you know, I didn't know. And every time it would happen and I was in that safe space, I would cry and cry and cry. And I was like, what the heck? So finally, you know, I had a session with Christine and she told me what was happening. And so I don't remember choosing this. My ancestors chose me because they felt that I had the strength to hold the process and the strength for them to go ahead and give me this responsibility. So it is a very emotional journey. It is, because it's painful. I think one of the hardest the hardest part of the process for me is feeling the pain, you know. And I'm gonna get, you guys know I have no, you know, no filter. It was also very
That is why I brought you on.
it was also very physical for me. You know, there was rape in my family. There was abuse in my family. And there was a point where I was working with somebody and I bled through all the way to my ankles. And I was, what is this about? And I had to, like, I was just, you know, it wasn't my moon time. It wasn't time for this to be happening to me. And I was just, you know, big clots of blood. And it was just going. And I was like, what is happening? And it wasn't anything physical. It was manifesting physically, but it was actually me healing the process of my ancestors that were raped, not only in previous lives, but also my family in this lifetime, you know. And it's very painful because it's not like I could go up to my aunt and say, Thea, why didn't you tell me? You know, I can't do that. You know, I'm so sorry this happened to you. I can't. I have to go ahead and process that emotion. Yeah, I have to respect that. I am not responsible for their healing. However, I'm opening that energetic wave so that it's done, you know, for the younger generation. I think when that happened to me, this was like a year ago, it was when it became very adamant to me that I had no choice. I had to do this. There was no going back. right? I had already started this journey. And for those of you that know me, Kara, Abby, Gabby, you guys saw me where I would like barely stick my head out of the hole, like, not yet, get back in there. Like, no, no more. It's like, no, no more.
You fought hard to be a muggle.
Well, yes. I wanted to stay a muggle. Exactly. That's the perfect word. I don't, and it was like, no, you're not going to stay a muggle. You're going to go through this. And it is a scary process as to what did I do. I had to learn to honor my process. If I was sad, I had to feel my sadness. I had to feel my anger. And if I didn't know why I was angry, it was just like, you know what? I just feel really angry right now, and I'm going to give myself permission for this hour to be angry. Leave me alone. Don't talk to me, because right now I have a serpent tongue. Leave me alone, And also, I think the saddest part for me and the hardest part was pulling away from my loved ones. Letting know that loving somebody doesn't mean that they get to treat you any way that they choose to, just to keep them around. And that was a very painful process for me. And it took a lot of courage, because, that's why I'm not a Disney princess. I'm a Disney villain. We're just misunderstood queens.
Love it.
And the thing is that it's okay. I had to do it for myself. And just because I wanted to feel the love and the company and my family around me didn't mean that I had to allow my boundaries to be stepped on because I was misinterpreting it as love,
Do you think you could have rejected that calling or invitation from your ancestors?
Oh, God, yes.
What do you think would have happened for you? Like, if you could kind of like tap into your intuition a little bit, what would it have been like for you this now? Like, if you could say, had I rejected that call, that invitation, then looking at where you would be now, like kind of projecting for yourself a little bit, what do you think would be different in your life?
A lot. My life has changed completely in the past year, but I think it would have turned into illness. I believe it would have turned into illness. I believe it would have manifested in my body as pain. I believe that it would have manifested as limitations in my self-worth if I wouldn't have gone through the bullshit that I went through.
Yeah.
Because it was, and I'm sorry, ancestors, but damn, they could have given me a little bit. But there was a moment there where I did feel like I didn't want to continue the journey. This is exhausting, and I don't see the end of the rainbow, because it was one thing behind the other thing behind the other thing. But thankfully, like Silvia said, I had my circle to help me, and I could call upon and say, guys, this is what's happening. This is what I just found out. This is what I just heard. I don't think I can deal with this anymore. Right. And there were things that, were, in my children's lives, where it was just where I saw that, okay, this is why I have to heal what I have to heal, because it's going to continue. And it was very painful, because it's true, Abby, when they say, when you heal, your family heals. And I saw it happen.
Damn straight it do.
Because I saw, and you guys saw, my family go through it as well. I'd call you and say, Abby, Carol, hey, my son's going through this right now. My daughter's going through this. And those were the moments where I was like, do I really want to continue to do this? Because I could see it manifesting in my kids, but they're the closest to me. So I could see that it was healing, right? But it's a painful journey. As for you, when you spoke about the yoga, everybody, I'm doing yoga, I'm doing yoga. I'm not. I have like the stiffest hips ever, I swear. It's like, I need to do yoga for many reasons. but, but, what's it called? Intention is key. It's not just going through the motions, you know, it's, you can turn on a freaking candle and pray on it. But if you're just repeating the words and you're not feeling it and your intention and your heart is not in it, it's just a light. There's no power in it, you know? And Sylvia, I don't want to discredit you in any way, but there are no ordinary people. The muggles have power too. And it's the power of their words, you know? And it's the same, it's the funny thing, because just how they have the power of the word to heal, they have the power of the word to chingarnos, you know, to fuck us up, right? And it takes just because it's intention. It doesn't have to be a curse. It's just the intention, that anger, that malice. When you have that thought in that word, that's enough to have an effect on a person, right? And that's the same thing when you say it with love and you say it, you know, that's why they say when you hug somebody, hug them like, you know, like you mean it, because it might be the only hug they're getting with love and you don't know, and that's when you're going to spread it. So intention is key, and we forget the power in that. We forget our power, you know.
100%.
But for me, it was very, I don't think, I never thought about saying, I don't want to do this anymore. It was more like, how much longer? When am I going to see it? You know, when am I going to go ahead and see what I'm working for? And, you know, sometimes when you're under that cloud, you can't see it because you're so stuck under the cloud, and you have this vision of what you think it's going to look like when you get out of under it. But it's so much better. It's just a bitch to get out of under that cloud. So when I tell people, I'm going to help you go through the healing, I am, because I know exactly what you're going through, but I'm not going to feel it for you. I'm going to walk with you through it, you know? And so for me, like I said, I was chosen for this responsibility. And it was confirmed by Ms. Gabby there. And I was like, she told me, you know, God, you need to do this. I'm like, but why? If they love me, why are they treating me this way? You know, and I could have had the choice to say no. I could have had the choice, but I think that I would be a completely different person. I probably wouldn't be smiling. I probably wouldn't be at peace. I probably wouldn't be, you know, with Tapajtiani flourishing the way it is now. I wouldn't be in my power, which it took a lot, as you know, for me to come out of the witch closet. A lot. It's like, I'm going to go with you guys, but don't tell them I'm with you guys. kind of thing. And
Us out there that are like that. Praise, you're in good company. You bring up something that I'm interested to hear what Gabby and Kara's perspectives are on this. You said that you didn't choose it. So Kara, do you feel like you don't choose what wounds or what lessons that you have in your life, in your current life, in your past lives? Like, do you feel like that you don't have any sort of choice, or in that it's something that just gets like put on you? Or, you know, what are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, I mean, Yvette, as you were talking, that was actually something I was thinking that would be like a good question to ask for people that like aren't in this line of work, or like people who aren't familiar with it. It's like, well, how do you know your ancestors want you to do something, right? Like, well, like what the fuck does that mean? So for me, it's like I don't know what the right word is. I don't want to say I'm not as sensitive as Yvette, but I'm like, maybe I'm not as in tune, or I don't know. I think I'm obviously spiritual, right? And I believe in all of that. I specialize in past lives, and I do my past lives different than Gabby and Abby and but I think for me, I I pick and choose what I want to work on. Also, I think for me, I get things very specifically. Like how I get like intuitive hits, like it's not always the same. It's super random. Like sometimes I just think I'm crazy. Like, so I think for me, it's like I do pick and choose. Like I know for me, like a lot of work has happened lately around I guess like power and boundaries and like inner knowing. And I'm sure there are other things like I could like there are definitely like um I'm pretty sure like female ancestral wounds that I haven't done anything with. I'm pretty sure there are masculine ancestral wounds that I haven't done anything with. I also think for me, I think it's very different, right? Because like I'm choosing not to have children, right? So like I'm selfish. And so I want to work on like the things that are going to benefit me in this current lifetime. I think like for me, maybe it'd be different if I were like, I'm going to have kids. I'd be like, oh, I don't want to fuck them up. Like, let me sort this shit out, you know? But that's not for me this lifetime. So for me, like right now, again, it's going to change, but like, I will say like, I do pick and choose whether it's intentional or not, that I don't know. Whether it's because I'm just not getting these things as I've gotten other bits of information, maybe, but also I can't, like, I personally cannot focus on more than like one or two wounds at a time or like traumas or past life issues. Like, you guys know this about me. I hate like girl boss error. I literally just want to retire like tomorrow. If I could, I would never work again. And so for me, like trying to do all the things in between, like day jobs and life and sleep is like a lot for me. So like I have a set of practices that I do every day that take 10 minutes. That's it. And then it fluctuates. So like if I had the ancestors or whatever coming down like Yvette did, I'd probably just lose it and be calling you guys every day. Like, make it stop. Blah. So I pick and choose. That's probably not the right way to do things. Or again, long-winded answer. I pick and choose or I don't notice. So it's oblivious. One of those. I don't know.
Okay.
Happens.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Go ahead, Gabby.
Do you think you choose? Or do you think that others people choose? Do you think you have choice?
So I do because I chose. But my guides made it very hard for me to not take this path. So I need to just say that Kara is a Taurus. She's an expensive Taurus. So all the nice things.
Gabby's read many of my charts many times. All of them. She knows me well. She knows me better than I know me. I literally have to send her voice notes and ask her to remember things about my life.
And you know what? I'm here for it. I love it. I love that you're just like, let's live in the divine femme and be supported and all the things. I'm not mad at it. Not at all. I'm like, I think I like to work. So that's probably my setback. But I was so I came into this work honestly like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I think, this coming December. But I had always had a connection with a higher power. But I went through this really fun thing called a Saturn return. And your Saturn return is your astrological initiation into adulthood. And everything I was working towards, which was,
Wait, hold, for the people who don't know, Saturn return is 28, right?
Yeah, it's like 27 to 30, 28 pretty much. Yeah. So it's rough if you're not on path. And I was not on path for what my soul chose to do. And now looking back, it all makes sense, right? But when you're in it, it sucks. But I was very much on path to be a board member by the time I was 40. And it's the fit that mold that the patriarchy really kind of paints a picture for in this current, dimension and earth as we know it. But things are changing. And I had a really unfortunate experience where it was like, it was enough for me to, I had actually my first psychic reading throughout that time. And they were like, this is not it for you. You're meant to live a more spiritual path, which when someone, and this is what I can appreciate about you, Kara, is that like, you know, we like the nice things. We want the sense of security that comes with it. And it's kind of hard sometimes to, at least for me back then, and now like I've seen examples and I've been expanded, that you can support yourself doing this work, and it is safe and it is okay for you to get paid, and you should get paid for supporting other people and doing, you know, God's work and helping them better themselves and live a more aligned life. But when I was, you know, a couple of years ago when I was younger, not that I'm not young now, I don't know that I had any examples of that. And so I had really gone through that unfortunate experience where they were like, this is one path, this is the other, and it's going to be the scarier option, but it's what your soul came to do. So at that point, even I had that free will, but I decided, I was like, oh, I'm going the spiritual path. And I'm so glad that I did, because I think it's really empowering to be able to help others. And then by association, you're really helping yourself because you're doing what your soul really came here to do. So free will. I am a little jaded though with being an astrologer, because you see like what you're supposed to be doing and like really like what it's specific to you, right? Like it's even different for twins. So I chose, but again, I didn't, I considered the other option. The other option wasn't so fun. This one's a lot better.
Mm. The idea of choice, I think, is one that really truly bugs people, and bugs in like both good and bad ways,
Yeah.
especially when we're talking about soul contracts, because a lot of people either don't know, and this is the larger category that I run into. People don't know that as a soul, you choose. You sit down with your council and you're like peeps, and you go, so where am I right now? Where was I? How did I do in that last one? What do I want to do to allow myself to move forward, to get to that ultimate goal of oneness with source, God, the universe? And some of the things that we sit down with our people, right? Ancestors, council, you know, it's our council, and from what I've experienced and who I've talked to and gotten hits from. Other spiritual people may say otherwise, but there's a lot of different beings who can be on your council, and ancestors can be one. So I fully believe Yvette had more than one ancestor up in her business, telling her exactly what was going to be on her soul contract. And being able to say, you know what, if this is the goal, right, what is the best path to get there? And we choose, we sit down and we say, okay, what are the lives and what are the lessons and what are the things? And we pick. And then once we're in this life, you know, and as Gabby knows, we choose our birthday, as she was just saying, you know, different even for twins, right? We choose our birthday and our birth time. And from that, you get a whole mess of information, a whole blueprint for you. Human design plays a huge role in this now that, you know, that has been developed in being able to help you along your path. Enneagram, all these things, right? All based on your birthday, your birth time, the place on the earth you chose to come in on, the parents you decided to choose, right? And how they are living their lives and what lessons they and wounds and healings that they had, right? It's all a choice. But that's hard for people, because within our lives, right, once we come in here, we experience hardship, right? We experience trauma. And when you say to people, oh, well, go back, when we're looking for who to blame, when we are in our righteous self-indignation, hard and deep, and we're like, who do I blame for this nonsense that has happened to me? It is really freaking hard to get to the end and have somebody tell you, it's you. Mirror work is so hard because subconsciously we understand that who we're looking at is the exact person we got to be having a conversation with about what has happened to us, good, bad, and otherwise, what it is that we're going through, the path that we have chosen, right? And I love what Gabby and Yvette were saying about, you could have chosen differently. Gabby could have said, heck yeah, Fortune 500, CEO, boss, board member, private jet, 10 figures, screw 6 figures, we're shooting for 10, right? Yvette could have said, no, bruja curandera life, not for me. I'm not, no, having to help other people walk through their pain, not what I want. But they did choose that. And whether they remembered that they wrote that on their contract or not, the fact of the matter is they chose here. And I think this is where the power lies, guys. And I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts around this. Is the power for you knowing that your soul contract was yours to choose, and the extra cherry on top was that you get to choose again. You get to choose again, fully conscious, fully aware, fully intentioned, stepping up in like eyes wide open, saying, no, I'm choosing to be like a kick-ass astrologer. No, I'm choosing to be somebody who, works with people, teaches them how to breathe, teaches them how to feel into their past lives, understanding and recognizing it, being a teacher, educating young minds. I'm choosing that. I get to do that. That's powerful. At least in my opinion. And I am another one that I fully saw where my life was and had to choose again to honor my soul contract, to honor my pain and my trauma and learn from my past lives. So what are your guys' thoughts as like panel? Where do you stand on the empowerment piece? Is the empowerment piece, do you agree? Do you disagree? And if you disagree, I'd love to know where you feel like that empowerment comes. Where does that lie for you? Yvette, can we start with you?
For me, the empowerment comes with the healing, I think. And the empowerment comes with choosing yourself, which was very huge for me and very hard for me because I was afraid to be who I am, and it's funny because there's a hat that I wear and it says bruja on it, and I only wear it like around the house, but this time I decided to wear it to Universal Studios. That was my secret, my indirect way of coming out, right? And it was just so interesting the way some people looked at me, and some of them like wanted to approach me, and then others just literally, I mean, my daughter and I sat down to eat, and the people next to us got up and moved to a different table, right? And it was just so interesting and an eye-opener of how my fear being put in my face, right? So I fixed my hat and I ate, and I was very happy with my daughter, and I was like playing with her little girl, and her little girl loves this bruja. So for me, that moment was very empowering, because when you say bruja, a lot of people right away think curse. But in reality, what is a bruja? They use herbs, they use energy, they use their magic of the palabra, they work with creator. And I remember I'm gonna tell you, when I started this path, my mom, I was raised very Catholic. My mom was like so concerned about me and getting into this dark way, because she saw crystals in the living room or something, or my room. And she had like other ladies from the church and my aunts praying for me. And I'm all like, if she only knew that now I am closer to creator than I have ever been, and never been taught to be by my religion, And for me, that was very empowering. And for me to embrace myself in the ability of what I can do and speak about it openly and share it and teach it and help people on their journey, that for me makes me feel complete, And even though I was doing it before, I was happy because I was doing it, but I didn't feel complete like I feel right now. And, it's like, to say to fall back on what you said about contracting in. Yeah, I contracted to come in and heal my lineage. My ancestors chose me, but dang, you don't remember what you contracted into until it's put in front of your face. And I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? Seriously, what the hell was I thinking? And but I'm grateful. I'm grateful. It's empowering not only as a woman and for myself, but I also believe that it's empowering for the people around us. Like for me, it's part of my strength to have a group of women, my coven that I can rely on and that I can go ahead and call upon, whether it be a question that I have out of that moment, a decision that I have to make, or an emotion that I'm feeling. What's this that's coming up for me? Or you know what? I can't get out of my bed today. There's strength and there's power in honoring myself as well. And for me, that's what the whole healing path is for me. Is like it's a way of me being true to myself. And that only happened through the journey of healing for me. And and I have to say the disclaimer on that unfortunately healing is hard because our life changes. It's not what we thought it was supposed to be. We thought we were supposed to have A, B, and C. And once you heal, you figure out it's H, G, and F, and it's okay to be that, but it's not norm, or it's not what, like Gabby said, I was supposed to have this career. This is the way we were raised. We were supposed to, be women of business and, big, empowered women in the business world, that nobody can take us down. And we say no to all of that because we take another path. And it is very scary because that's not who we were told we were supposed to be. But once you get to that point and you see that there's strength and fulfillment is the word, fulfillment in that, it's so much more empowering to me that I live a fulfilled life than I live an accomplished, what they thought was supposed to be an accomplished life. So I hope I answered the question.
Yes. Kara, where do you feel like the power is? Where is the empowerment for you?
I just want to make sure I'm understanding the question right. So where is the empowerment for me, like in this work, like in the healing and the trauma and the wounds?
In the awareness of your soul contracts and the wounds and the traumas that you've experienced, where is it that you can be, where do you find your empowerment? Where do you find your ability to move through it?
I think a big part of it for me, the empowerment comes from like knowledge and understanding. Like if I can understand the why, then that for me feels empowering. Like some people are like, you don't need to know the why, just surrender. Blah, blah, blah. I hate that. I know we have to surrender, whatever, but like I want to know why. And then I feel empowered. I think the other piece of the empowerment for me is knowing that like you can change it, like nothing's written in stone. And so it's like maybe you don't know how, maybe you don't know when, but like things can be changed. And then it's just like finding the people. If you don't know, like if you can't tap in or you aren't sure, like searching for the people that can help you. I think the other thing is the empowerment comes from just like my knowing, like knowing if someone else is sick, knowing if I'm going to get sick, knowing if this person is a fraud, knowing if like this business idea is bad, like whatever it is that I know, like knowing that my gut instincts are usually right, for better or worse. I think those three things are what empowers me for sure.
Gabby, same question. Where's the power for you? Where's the empowerment for you?
Very similar to what Kara just said. It's like, I remember when I was going through my dark night of the soul, one of them, the first one, which I think is like the worst in my opinion. And it's like that season where you're just like, what is the purpose of my existence? Why am I here? You know? And having a clear sense of why I incarnated on earth and why I'm here and like what the purpose of my work is very fulfilling, and that's where the power is at. And it's yeah, it's also just, you don't have to wonder if like what you're doing is like, I think asking the question, what if, like, what if I had stayed, you know, in something that I knew wasn't in alignment, like and what if I, you know, had been in that position, and I'd be like, well, what if I like hadn't left, or, you know, decided to be an astrologer. So it's just, I never have to ask myself like what if, because I know this is what my soul's supposed to be doing. So I would say that's where the power is for me.
Sylvia, a little bit of a different question for you, because as you have, you know, said, you're like, I'm a regular human being, as if you're not special, which you are. But for you, you have watched kids grow with you. You have watched kids grow that came from you. And when you think about their choices of when you take into context this idea of they chose their soul contract same as you did, and there are certain things that you can't protect them from, where do you think the power lies? But take into consideration this idea of like you're looking at it not for yourself, but for others.
There you go. I
There you go.
feel grateful to have that chance to work with the little kids. I totally adore these little souls. And I can tell you that I feel like I'm a facilitator. As Yvette said, I cannot fix their lives, but I can just like walk that path along with them. So what I usually would do with them, I feel that I'm pretty sensitive about like their needs, and and um and I can feel their suffering, and I think I'm very, I mean, in that sense I'm very uh I feel a lot. I mean, and my feelings are very strong for them. So what I do is, like, from what I've learned so far in my life, I try to facilitate for them strategies to deal with stuff. And I make sure that every time that they come into my classroom, and they're going to get a lot more than academics. So starting with energy work that I do for them, I pray for them, I teach them how to breathe. My teacher Abby taught me the box breathing, so we love the box breathing, for example. And we do yoga intentionally, of course. And I feel that I'm there to make them smile, to just like bring that joy into their lives and to give them hope. They need to know
Relying in
that
hope. I love that.
they
Yeah.
need to know that they're loved regardless of what's going on at home or in the world or around them. Um, I do have to say that I have a very specific group of children that I work with, and these are like migrant children with a very particular like circumstances, and uh, and it's just that I feel they need that joy and love. They need to feel that they belong. And I'm very intentional about building community. I feel that they need to know that there's a community, even for parents. These are mothers, very young mothers. They don't know the language. They're very lost. And I try to bridge that gap between culture and languages, and to just like let them know that okay, I don't want to go into politics or anything like it, but it's not the US, but they have I mean, they belong to the world. I mean, they're women. I mean, they have a worth as human beings. And I feel that I'm an educator, but not only as a teacher, like a language arts teacher, a reading teacher, a math teacher. I feel that I'm more than that. I feel that I am an educator of the soul, and I hope I'm doing a good job to make them feel happy and joyful and loved. For me, that's extremely important. I would say that that's my purpose in life, regardless of its teaching. I have to say that I always go like, I'm a teacher, but I've done talking about choices I have done in my 60 years of life. I have done so many more things. I've been teacher, a yoga instructor. I've been like, you name it. I've been a painter. I've been just like, like a lot of things. And yes, we do have choices. I love what Kara said. I took notes of what Kara said. As a Taurus, Kara's got like
Don't listen to anything I say.
words. I know Taurus. I'm surrounded by people that are Taurus, and they're so incredibly smart. And yes, I think that, I mean, that's my job, and I do feel that for me, the empowerment, and that comes also in my job, is it comes from knowing, and not knowing it all, but we do have, especially today, we have women, we have the resources, all these, I mean, possibilities to know things, and that gives us hope, that which is very, very important, especially today. I feel that a big part of young people, some of my students that are getting older, I'm still in touch with them. These young people are losing hope, and that's scary to see that our children and the women who raise these children are losing hope. Wow, I mean, I think we are in deep trouble. and I think that we do have choices, and I see you so young and so beautiful. Imagine all the choices that you have. I mean, I go like, oh my Lord, I mean, everything that you have ahead of you, no? And but basically, to answer your question, I feel that my job is to facilitate these children with a path full of um, self-knowledge, of self-worth, give them strategies that when things get tough around them, they can go back to them, and maybe they can write a little bit note to themselves, or just say affirmations. We repeat affirmations every day in my class, and use their breathing techniques as well, no?
So at this point, I want to, because we're wrapping up, and while we're seeing if anybody does, I'm just going to give you guys that it was all of these beautiful, amazing panelists, for not just today, but through the entire series, have graciously volunteered their time. And because of that, I really wanted to make sure that we were giving hope, as Silvia was saying, and giving blessings to as many as we could, or that we felt that we could. Make sure that all of these organizations are posted in the show notes from wherever you are watching or listening, so that you can also do that. And obviously, thank you everyone for being here. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you. Know that at the end of this, soul contracts are your choice, and they are something that you have full control over. Your wounds, your traumas, your past lives, as you go through, as you learn about them through regression and all of that, they all hold lessons for you. They all have empowerment for you. They all have places for you to learn and become better versions of who you are. And each and every one of us, I know I can speak for the ladies on this panel. We all believe that, and we all are here to help you with that in any way that you need. I will also make sure that all of these lovely ladies, that their contact information is also in the show notes and in all of the replay options, so that if you have any questions, if you want to get a reading or anything, if you want to ask questions of Miss Sylvia. I will make sure that there is an acceptable way to do that. Okay. Can't even tell you how much I appreciate it.